Hello, everyone. Welcome to the end of our week on art and imagination. Before I get started with what I'm reading today, let's have a look at today's word puzzle. Okay, take a look at this word. Can you guess this word before I put any of the letters? Let's see. This is going to be a word that starts with a P because that's a penguin. Over here, I'm pretty sure that's an S for a snowflake. Any idea what this word is yet? We've got an E at the end. Have you noticed a lot of words end with E? There's another E here for egg. What could that be? There's an A for apple. And this is a L for lime. Please. Sometimes it takes me a moment to switch the camera over. Please join me as I talk about imagination. I've been talking about how in art, we sometimes use art to look at things we don't normally see. This book is a great example of that. This book is called If. And it sort of makes believe if things were a little different than they usually are. So If, let's get our autofocus here. There we go. If by Sarah Perry. She did the writing and she did the art. Notice these little ants. Let's go a little more out here. If. It's by the J. Paul Getty Museum. If you'll remember, the J. Paul Getty Museum is where I said I went and saw that painting by Van Gogh when I was younger. There's a lot of pages before it begins. Oh. If cats could fly. If mice were hair. If worms had wheels. If frogs ate rainbows. If dogs were mountains. If zebras had stars and stripes. If music could be held. If ugly were beautiful. If toes were teeth. You have to look really carefully at this one. If caterpillars were toothpaste. If whales lived in outer space. If leaves were fish. Does that remind you of the cover? Do you notice what one of the differences is? Look at this picture. Take a peek at the cover. What do you notice that's different? You see some oranges and blossoms on this tree, but not on this one? If clouds were spirits. You see some animals and faces in there? If butterflies were clothes. If lightning made rhinos. If ants could count. If the moon were square. If kids had tails. If spiders could read Braille. Do you know what Braille is? You'll notice this book, instead of having words printed on the pages, it has these little bumps on it that were pressed into the paper. And that means when you put your finger across, you would be able to feel the bumps. And each of these little groups of bumps is a different letter. And that means that if somebody is not able to see with their eyes, they can use their fingers to touch the bumps and they will know what the book says. They'll be able to read with their fingers. This is saying, what if spiders could do that? If hummingbirds told secrets. If this is the end, then dream up some more. I had a good idea. When I looked at that book, I looked at those illustrations, which looked like they were maybe made with colored pencils. It inspired me to do some drawing. But I don't just want to draw something that I see every day around me. I'd like to draw something from my imagination, something a little weird or funny, like something in that book. So I've got my drawing supplies. This is a sketchbook with some drawing paper inside. You can see where I started experimenting with my pencils on there. I'll need a clean sheet of that. And then I have a drawing set, which I'll show you. You can just use any paper and a pencil. Use a pencil, mechanical pencil, or a regular pencil, like one of these, to draw. I'll show you what I've got in case you want to see what some artists use. All right, so I've got my supplies. I've got my paper, I've got my pencils. I think I'll turn my paper this way. We call this landscape, because it looks like you're looking at a broad stretch of land. If we do it this way, it's called portrait. Kind of like if you take a picture of someone's head, shoulders. Maybe you've seen that on a computer, landscape and portrait. And then I've got my pencils. Stay in this tin. There's a few different kinds of pencils in here, and in these sticks. These are drawing pencils that are charcoal. So not just regular drawing pencils, even just charcoal pencils. This is a charcoal drawing set. And you see it says medium, soft, and hard. So the softer the charcoal is at the top, then the more blurry the line. So soft is going to look blurry like this, whereas the hard is going to look more like a line drawn with a pencil, like that. Then I've got some charcoal sticks, and these are useful for doing more shading work like that. Today, I'm mostly going to use my pencils. Let's see. What should I draw? That's interesting. I thought for a challenge, I would use my How to Photograph Everything book and get an idea. First, I can choose an animal. Got lots of animals on here. Let's see. I'm just going to close my eyes and wave my hand. Promise I'm closing my eyes. What did I land on? Oh, it looks like I landed on a snow leopard. Snow leopard. What if snow leopards were, closing my eyes again. Is that a car? What would it be like if you had a car that looked like a snow leopard? Well, let's get a car shape. So when I draw, I usually use circles and sticks a lot. Everything is circles and sticks. If I'm going to draw a car, I'm going to start with a circle shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to have a front. It's going to have a, I think this will be the front. I'll have it go this way. This will be the back. And I can use sticks or lines to draw the shape around those until I get my car to be the shape I want. So it's starting to look like a car. Car needs wheels, doesn't it? And what shape are wheels? Circles, right? It's going to have big wheels on it. Now I've got a pretty good car shape. Maybe a window. Maybe a door. I want people to be able to get in and out of this car, right? Fender. Some lights on the front. Okay. Now, how can I make my car look like a snow leopard? It's going to need a tail. This is where my picture starts to stop looking like regular old real life. Starts to look like something else. It's going to need some paws, right? On the front and on the back, I think. It's going to need a head. Head is kind of a circle shape. And I know they've got a muzzle in the front, another circle shape. They've got ears. When you're drawing a big cat, sometimes it's kind of a straight line going down. And a chin. I'm just using sticks to connect. Snow leopards have big eyes. I'll show you a trick. When something's looking this way, you draw an eye. You can start with a circle, but then you have kind of a V shape. These are eyelids looking out that way. A nose. A muzzle. A chin. You ever seen My Neighbor Totoro? Remember they had a cat bus? What did you think of that cat? Have you seen that cat bus? There's something that came out of somebody's imagination. This is also something coming out of my imagination. So here's my drawing of if cars were snow leopards. I could continue working on details. Drawing gets interesting when you think of something new to draw. It's something that you don't see in everyday life. You can use things around you as inspiration, but it's fun to mix up those ideas. I've got another book that has kind of mixed up imagination ideas in it. This one is called If You're Afraid of the Dark, remember the night rainbow. If you're afraid of the dark, remember the night rainbow. Words and drawings by Cooper Eden. This book is dedicated to the memory of John Lennon. He's a very famous singer. If tomorrow morning the sky falls, have clouds for breakfast. Looks like they had some rainbow for their coffee. If night falls, use stars for streetlights. Make it so you can see the whole book. If the moon gets stuck in a tree, cover the hole in the sky with a strawberry. Looks like they used Band-Aids to tape it up. If you have butterflies in your stomach, ask them into your heart. If your heart catches in your throat, ask a bird how she sings. If birds forget their songs, listen to a pebble instead. If you lose a memory, embroider a new one to take its place. See how it looks like they sewed the word yes? When you make a picture with sewing, we call it embroidery. If you lose the key, throw away the house. If the clock stops, use your own hands to tell time. If the light goes out, wear it around your neck and go dancing. It looks like they're living inside of a tomato. If the bus doesn't come, catch a fast cloud. If it's the last dance, dance backwards. If you find your socks don't match, stand in a flower bed. If your shoes don't fit, give them to the fish in the pond. If your horse needs shoes, let him use his wings. If the sun never shines again, hold fireflies in your hands to keep warm. If you're afraid of the dark, remember the night rainbow. If there is no happy ending, make one out of cookie dough. The end. Did some of the things in the book not make a lot of sense? That's kind of on purpose. Sometimes when things don't make sense, we try to make connections. We try to make sense out of it, and that makes us think. Sometimes it's a good thing if everything isn't made sense for us. One artist that decided to use art to show things that we don't just see with our eyes in everyday life, but maybe what we feel or what is happening, excuse me, is Pablo Picasso. So I'm going to show you this book, which is Painting with Picasso. Painting with Picasso. An artist paints people in all different places and captures the feelings that show in their faces. Do you see how he drew this face and this person here? Let's take a closer look. He didn't paint it. There's two people in this picture, and he didn't paint them just how we would see them with our eyes. And you see he also painted some pictures that looked a little more like what we see in real life. A young girl catches a dove in flight. She'll keep him safe and hold him tight. A serious boy steers a donkey around. This sad boy is dressed like a happy clown. An acrobat balances on a ball while a strong man wonders if she'll fall. Another man's limbs are in a tangle with arms and legs at the oddest angle. Look how he drew that person's body. That looks different than how we see bodies. Just arms and legs and a head. A woman rests during a dreamy nap. A mother plays with a babe in her lap. With eyes looking sideways and nails painted red, this woman is telling a joke in her head. How do you think this person is feeling looking at that, the way she's painted? Do you notice this eye looks like it's looking that way? Like it's part of a face looking this way, and this is part of a face looking towards us, and then this is looking this way. Different angles all at the same time. And here is the artist who's captured it all. The faces, the places, the girl on the ball, with each stroke of his brush, each color and line, he paints a picture of a moment in time. This is a painting Pablo Picasso did of himself as a young man. Wonder what you will draw or paint the next time you seek out to make a picture. Will you draw something you see around you every day? Or will you try to come up with something different, weird or funny, maybe scary? What kind of pictures can come out of your imagination? Will you do a collage or paint, perhaps with chalk or watercolor or whatever you have around the house? I really hope to all have great art adventures this week. It has been wonderful spending this week with you with art and imagination, and I can't wait to see what we do next week. See you all soon.